Hello there. It's October 14th, 2025. It's Ophelia's birthday. Many other people probably around the planet. I'm Joe Weston, and we're here for our monthly Global Heart Gathering. And it is great to see you. And we're just catching up with one another um, on things that are happening in our lives. And it's great to see the familiar faces as always. Great to see new faces. Great to see you, Matteo. Matteo is the brilliant, brilliant person who translated my book, Fierce Civility, from English to Italian. And Gentilezza Impetuosa is the title. And he's quite a remarkable man, as are you, all of you, and all of you who join us. And I'm excited to be here. I'm in a new location. Those of you who've been coming on a regular basis, it's been quite a journey since December, January. It's every month I've been in a different location around the world, from the United States to Europe, various parts of Europe to Dubai. And here I am in my new apartment that I'll be in for 6 months in Amsterdam. So it feels good to be here. And as always, we gather to hold space for what's unfolding on the planet, a meditation for global peace, for global lasting peace, and understanding what that means, and working, not working, but creating together, um, and a place where we can come together and share what's on our hearts, but also to look at how can we step more into what I'm assuming many of you have a desire for, which is to be of service at this moment on the planet in whatever way that looks. And I've been discussing that now for months now, that it doesn't have to be running for office. It doesn't have to be protesting, but there are many ways that we can be of service. And that all that's happening on this planet now is that just the circumstances are just calling us to step more into that. Many of you have been doing that for decades. Many of you will continue to do that for decades, maybe even lifetimes, I would guess. And that is what is exciting at this time. And I've said that at the beginning of the year. I said, what if these times were set up to, in a sense, force us to take a look at ourselves and see us for the gifts that we have, for the power that we do have, for the talents that we have, that we can be sharing what I call creative social activism, on a planet where so many are suffering, and stepping into what I call compassion in action. That we see many movements of people who are talking about and meditating on and contemplating these beautiful concepts. But where is the steps that we need to take to get us into action, for whatever that means for us? There's this things I want to bring up. This has been a particularly interesting month for me, and I wanted to share some of you. So I've already announced to some of you, I've been around the world this month. But one place where I was, as some of you know, is I was part of the Raising Hope conference at Castel Gandolfo, which is the Pope's summer house in Rome. And I want to share with you some of what I experienced there and how that plays into what this practice is, and also to share with you some other things that I found remarkable. So the experience was remarkable. It was the Pope spoke, and Arnold Schwarzenegger was there, and Marina Silva, who's the prime minister, not the prime minister, one of the ministers of the environment in Brazil. And there were many other speakers, and there were hundreds and of people there. And this was all part of this mission that Pope Francis had called Laudato Si, and that he's been doing for 10 years. And I want to read to you um, one of the quotes, if I can find it, of that. Um, that I pulled out because it summed it up for me. And this was a document he wrote in 2015. And he says, today we have to realize that a true ecological approach always becomes a social approach. A true ecological approach always becomes a social approach. It must integrate questions of justice in debates on the environment so as to hear the cry of the earth and the cry of the poor. And that to me resonates very much with what we talk about and what we're holding and what we bring to our practice here is listening to the cries of those on the planet, listening to the planet itself. And how can we be of service and be in relationship with that? And there were some interest and some of the things that the Pope said, which I thought was fascinating. Let me just say, I'll just say a couple of things. It was all about the heart. He said many things, but of course, what stood out for me was he said, we must return to the heart more than ever. The heart brings us freedom. It transcends. It is where we rediscover our most authentic desires and identity. To come from the heart is to understand the true importance of restoring ecology. It is time to move from collecting data to a culture of care. That's coming from the Pope, who is basically saying, at least how I would like to see the similarities with Fierce Civility, that the data and the information we have can only take us so far. What can we do to activate our own hearts and activate the hearts of others to come back to our best selves? Minister Silva said very, very beautifully, which touched many of us, how do we dare to hope? We do it together. How do we dare to hope? We do it together. And then dear Arnold Schwarzenegger had a message. He said, stop whining, get to work. And he talked about, his whole speech was really trying to push this idea of we need to communicate better. The way we're communicating is not working to activate more people to care for the environment. Again, totally in resonance of what we're doing here with this practice. How do we cultivate and strengthen our fierce compassion or resilience to be able to hold more beings in our hearts without that burning us out? And what I thought was so beautiful was these quotes, what these people were saying was that it's a reminder that information alone is not going to change things, that connection is going to change things. A new way of communicating is going to change things, and compassion in action.
Robert Robbins and so on.
And to be around people, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people who are devoted to this, from the Catholic Church and from activists and economists and thought leaders, all who are committed to doing what Pope Francis asked, which is to take care of the environment, take care of nature. For instance, there's one gentleman who I met, Joshua Van Cleef. He calls himself Joshua Van Cleef, not van Cleef, who is in Lexington, Kentucky. He's a director of peace and justice at the Catholic Diocese of Lexington. And he was talking about a project that the Diocese of Kentucky. First of all, can someone, for our friends who aren't from the United States, would someone mind sharing how you would describe Kentucky in terms of the rest of the nation, but do it from a place of respect? Anybody want to jump in and say, just to give the context of what Kentucky is?
Very conservative.
I could do it, but I'm curious to hear if someone else does it.
Yesterday, we saw not a movie, but a program about a trip where someone went to Kentucky. What I remember, it's very conservative, very
Poor.
very poor, very sad and lonely.
Hmm.
That came out of that program.
Yeah, okay. You could say that it's very rural. It's very rural. It's not urban, though not there are some urban places. But just to give you a context of when someone thinks of in the United States thinks of Kentucky, they have a certain view. So we've shared that. And what he was telling us is that the Catholic Diocese of Kentucky sent out a memo to all of its 98 parishes and said, we'd like you to come up with a strategy to take care of your local nature. And every one of them did it. And they're now working on it. And that to me gives me hope. And it's only it's not so important that it's Kentucky, but it happens to be Kentucky. And that there's more and more of that happening, more and more of those kind of movements happening that we don't see in the news. And it was great to connect with so many people who are committed. So I'm just offering that message to you that we're not alone, that there are a lot of people out there who are also committed worldwide to take care of nature, and in taking care of nature, taking care of the poor, dealing with issues around justice, equity, and the environment. And what an interesting thing is that just outside that there were during all of this, the contrast is there were protests, really pretty intense protests in Rome and all around Italy, around Europe, protesting the halting of the flotilla to bring goods to Gaza. And it was pretty intense. And so the contrast of being in this very contemplative inner sanctum of the Vatican, in a sense, and the I wouldn't say it's and the activation in the streets was quite beautiful and very alive. And it helped me see that there's many paths to peace. There's many paths to unity, and that we all have to find our way. And that what I would just add to that is that in that, no matter what our path is, that it's key for me to activate what I talk about in the Fierce Civility book, the five highest human principles of respect, dignity, belonging, freedom, and collaboration. Respect, dignity, belonging, freedom, and collaboration. And I want to just offer that in terms of this practice, that we remember from many of the times we do practice, our compassion practice, of course, is to cultivate more of a compassionate heart. Thank you, Shelley, for typing those words. But in the end, the practice is for us, that we're cultivating those practices. We're developing these habits, that we are becoming more authentic to who we are. And that's not an ego. That's not just for ego to do that. Because when we do that, many things happen, but I'll say it too, is that we're resilient, we're healthy, we're vital. We're sustainable. We can be in this for the long haul. We don't burn out. We can be of service, and we can be an example, and we can practice the five roles I've talked about of being refuge or soother or nurturer or protector or transformer like that, because we're so vital and in the moment and in relationship with ourselves, our environment, and others. So in essence, a lot of our practices are for others, but in the long term, they're for us. And I bring this up as well as that if we want to create a world where there's more respect, dignity, belonging, freedom, and collaboration, the first step, of course, is to want that for ourselves. But we're truly, I think, in our power and being of use and purpose when we can say, okay, I've got this. Now I can see how I can cultivate this for others. And that in a sense, what I think is important at this moment that I don't say, I don't think explicitly enough, is that in this world system that keeps us so dysregulated and isolated, It's so easy for us to get caught up in the bullying, in the aggression, in the name calling, in the polarizing way we treat each other. So in a sense, the world system is dragging us down to its level. And the more that the world system drags more of us down to that level, that's what we see transpiring on the planet. It's a clever ploy. It's worked before, and it will always work. So I bring this up that part of this practice is the hard, arduous, challenging work to not be seduced to be pulled down into that, so that when we show respect to others, it's partially that the other feels the respect, but it's more for us to be practicing our highest values, living from our highest values. We respect others because respecting others is who we truly are at our best. We want dignity for others because that makes us more dignified. That makes us more being an example of what dignity is, which for me it means being valued. We want others to belong because we want to be that place of refuge where people feel they can belong around us. And freedom and collaboration, it's all the same. That I want to bring that up, that the tendency is, no matter with the different ways that we are trying to be of service, that we can easily get pulled into the fight, flight, freeze, the bullying, and that part of our service to the planet now is to just do our best to do our practices to stay aligned with our highest values. So that was my time in Rome, and then I was in California where I was working for a huge hospital and working with people who are completely burnt out, and on the front lines of healthcare in a country that really, on some level, doesn't show any respect to people and how they're and with dignity and how they're taken care of and how they can take care of their own ailments. And to be in that energy and to feel their resilience and their resourcefulness and their sacrifice was also really very moving. And then of course now I'm back in Amsterdam, and there's the piece now of what's happening in Gaza, in Israel and Gaza. And who knows where that's going to go. And interestingly enough, I've been hearing from my friends, I think some of you know, and then if you have any reflections, I'd love to hear from you, but I just want to for more than 10 years now, I've been doing work in the Middle East, working with women's rights organizations in various countries and territories in the Middle East. And one project I've been doing now for 10 years was working with a women's rights group in Gaza. So it's been breaking my heart, as many of you know. I've developed close relationships with these people. I consider them friends. And just, desperately trying to get any news about how they are. Some of them have died. Some of them were killed. Many of them have their family members have been killed and died. Their homes are rubble. And it's been an inspiration. It's been a joy for me to be able to be an anchor for them and be of service and to also hear their stories. And I just want to bring up one story. There's one man, Mohammed Shabir, who is an educator, and he's been invested in making sure that children have been educated the last 2 or 3 years with a whole federation of teachers. And I just want to share, this is just coming, this idea of the heart and this idea of the importance of holding on to our own best selves and our highest selves. I'm going to just share it's a message he sent me recently. My friend Joe, I wish you always happy times. I convey to you everyone's greetings from Gaza. Thank you for always praying that our hearts will be present and filled with love, peace, and hope. We believe in the values of love, peace, and humanity that always unite us. I'm sending you some photos from a training for women working on the front lines with Aisha Association. That's the organization I was working with to support psychological resilience, enhance recovery opportunities, and provide self-care for them. I gave this training and it was a great opportunity to remember you with us as you were present with us in your heart. Those are the conversations I have with them. And the message is always that we believe in the values of love, peace, and humanity that always unite us. And that is, I think, on some level, what has gotten many of them through what they've been going through. So I just want to bring this into this real life things that are happening that I've experienced in the Vatican and in various parts of the world, and connecting with people from around the world dedicated to this idea of creating the opportunities for more respect, dignity, belonging, freedom, and collaboration. So let's take a breath. And is there anyone who we'll go into our practice, but is there anyone who just feels a burning desire to share from your heart all the things that I've reflected on? Um,
Joe, it's
Yeah,
Keith here.
hi,
Good to see
Keith.
you. And very, very simple. What comes to me is it is quite something to feel both the deep pain and heaviness and the joy.
Mm,
To know that both can be held.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
lot, but it can be.
yeah. Thank you, Keith.
I'm with you, Keith. I mean, I'm feeling the almost necessary balance of finding the right, not right or wrong, but finding each one of us the ability to look directly into what is in all of these different sectors and realms that we're seeing and feeling at the moment, and to also balance that with really awesome self-care and pleasure to sustain ourselves and allow us to remain flexible and willing and eager to connect and find the connections that not only keep us in good familiar care, but also to stretch into the unfamiliar of the places where we don't understand the other part, or we don't, it's not our familiar language or ways, so that we, as you so awesomely point out again and again, so we stop that polarized banging up against one another. So I can
Yeah.
feel the hard work of it, and I can feel the muscle building. And it's awesome to be in a room of squares of people who work these practices regularly in many different ways, because it reminds me
Yeah.
that there's a multitude of different human hearts out there, and that's just helpful for me.
Yeah. Thank you, Shelley. Thank you. You know, but there's also an ease, but I guess what I was so struck by was to be around hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people who are doing, who we could align with if we knew how where to that are ready to align. You know, particularly some amazing people in Argentina who are doing, you know, creating places for families to step into their power and be economically solvent and independent. So many different people that I think that's an important message, that it may not be so hard as we think to find alliances in surprising places. that I always talk about, which I think is really the solution at this moment. If only hanging out with people who already agree with you were going to solve our world problems, we would have already solved them. So what's the solution? We have to find a way to engage with people that we wouldn't necessarily engage with, and then have the skills and the courage to staying engaged with them in the messiness. And that's where the new solutions are going to emerge. That's where the solutions are going to be resilient enough and sustainable enough to survive all the cynicism and the greed and the self-interest. And that it's a question of not the big thing that's going to change everything, but every little act we do to this to move towards a world of respect, dignity, belonging, freedom, and collaboration for all wears down this world system that's doing such a good job that's keeping us polarized and cynical. Anyone else before we get into a practice? You can share afterwards too. Hey, Willie, and all the rest of the four-leggeds, it's good to have you join us. Is Willie there?
I'm in Peru. He's back in San Francisco.
Oh, okay. Okay.
He says
Aw.
hello, I'm sure.
Okay, Peru. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, let's get into our practice, and then we can reflect afterwards. So, as always, finding a way to sit, power sit, where you can sit where your spine is straight without being rigid, to allow what we call the resilience to occur, which is presence, awareness, balance, and flow. So finding that in power sit is a great way to find your balance and flow, where you're sitting with a good structure, but not rigid. Elongating the spine, stretching up through the back of the neck, tucking in your chin a little bit. Relax your jaw, relax your shoulders, relax your belly. Bringing your attention to your core in your lower belly, center, approximately the width of 3 fingers below your navel and a third of the way into the body from the front of the body. Center of gravity, impulse, personal power, awareness. And you could say on some level it's here that you could have a direct link with nature, with a communication with nature, as well as the heart, as well as the feet. From your center, become aware of your contact points, parts of your body that are connecting with what you're sitting on and the ground. Allow yourself to be held. Allow the ground and the chair you're sitting on be a representation of Mother Earth herself. Some of you are, sounds like, are in quite remarkable environments where you have an instant connection. But tapping into whatever that means for you, your connection with Mother Earth, with nature, and from beneath you with a sense of support. Taking the time now to come more into the present moment with your awareness, beginning with yourself, starting with your physical body. So from your center, become aware of your physical body. Simply notice, simply be aware and let the body speak to you. Learn its vocabulary. A deeper level of listening. How is the body speaking to you right now? All parts of your body. From your center, become aware of your emotional body. No judgment, no right or wrong, simply opening up and doing an inventory of what's your emotional state right now. And if there's anything to do, it's to just make sure that your breaths are deep and open so that any emotions that are there have the possibility to flow through. They'll take care of themselves. And from your center, become aware of your mental body. What's the quality of your thoughts right now? Without judgment, observe them. Maintaining a connection with your core, your personal power, now bringing awareness to the middle of your chest where your heart power resides. Compassion, respect, your highest values, these 5 highest human principles. And from your center and from your heart, become aware of that part of you which has connection to something larger than yourself. What can you identify within your complete being that you feel has access to something larger than yourself? And from that part of you, checking in this moment, what is your connection in this moment to something larger than yourself? Feel the resonance within yourself as you connect with Mother Earth flowing up through you, as you feel that which is larger than yourself flowing through you, filling yourself up with your own level of self-dignity, self-respect, a true sense of belonging, if nothing else, to Mother Earth and to something larger than yourself. A true sense of freedom, and understanding your collaborative role with Mother Earth, with that which is larger than yourself in what's unfolding at this moment. Let that flow out from your heart and from your core to fill your personal space right out to the edges of your personal boundaries in all directions, behind you, to the sides of you, in front of you, above you, below you. Feel that resonance. Maybe it has a texture like a color or a sound or a vibration. Smell. And with this awareness of yourself in this present moment, from your center and from your heart, take a full breath in. Always in through your nose and out through your mouth. And maintaining this connection with self, maintaining your connection with Mother Earth, with that which is larger than yourself. And now from your center and from your heart, become aware of your surroundings without having to look in all directions, placing yourself in the context within which you are right now, wherever you are right now. And simply listen. Listen to the environment around you. In what ways is it influencing you? In what ways are you impacting your environment in this moment? What would a direct communication look like? And from your center and from your heart, with awareness of yourself and your surroundings, take a full breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. expanding on this awareness, maintaining connection to self and surroundings, now bringing awareness from your center and from your heart to those in this meditation circle, those who are sharing this practice with you. Expanding out your heart and your personal power just to transcend the squares on the screen through the World Wide Web to connect with people in various parts of North America, Europe, perhaps other parts of the world, South America. How does that feel to expand out this capacity now? With honor and respect, connecting with those in this meditation circle. Feeling the resonance within themselves, within each one of them, as well as you, of a desire for respect, dignity, belonging, freedom, and collaboration. And with an awareness of yourself, your surroundings, and those in this meditation circle, from your center and from your heart, take a full breath. Maintaining this connection, we now expand our capacity, stretching those heart muscles, our fierce compassion and resilience. And from your center and from your heart, become aware of all human beings, first beginning with those human beings you would label loved ones. And in this moment, who arises in your heart? How many loved ones can you hold in your heart in this moment? How many faces do you see or groups of people? How do they gather around you? Are they standing? Are they sitting? And just as you're connecting with them, let's practice this idea of being respect, being dignity, being belonging, being freedom, being collaboration. And in that feeling in your heart's desire that awakens or that is activated or that is brought to or achieved by those you would call loved ones. A call to other human beings to acknowledge the world system's desire to pull us down, and a call that appeals to the highest in every one of these loved ones that you're connecting with right now. And in that heart, your heart's desire as you connect with them, see that actively getting activated in their hearts. And from your center and from your heart, become aware of those human beings you would label strangers. And once again, how many can you hold in your heart in this moment? Who arises in your heart? How many? If it's one, that's fine. If it's 1,000, that's fine. If it's 6.5 billion, that's fine. There's no right answer. How are they gathering around you? And go through that process again of being your highest core values, your highest principles. Even with strangers, maintaining, fighting the pull to be brought down, and cultivating the ease and the skill to maintain connection with your highest desires, highest intentions. As the Pope said, in the heart. And calling every stranger you're connecting with now to activate that within themselves. The commitment to maintain these highest core principles in their hearts. And see that activation, if that's what you see. And then we move on to adjust in any ways you need to from your center and from your heart. Become aware of those human beings you would label adversary. And who arises in your heart? Be clear, be honest, be courageous. Does it influence your level of open-heartedness? Does it surprise you who pops up? And as you stand with them face to face, or however you gather with them, do your practice of maintaining being your highest core values, even in the face of these people you are engaging with now, your adversaries. Respect, dignity, belonging, freedom, collaboration, and any other core values you may have. And from your heart, connecting with their heart and activating, or the call to step into these values. Imagine if these people that you're now engaging with, your adversaries, that what awakened in them was not only respect for themselves, but respect for others, all others. Dignity for all others. Places of belonging for all others. Freedom for all others. And a true desire to want to collaborate. Just take a moment and notice the benefits of what you've done so far, activating within people this call to their highest values. And all the actions that can take place, slowly wearing down a system that does a good job to keep us dysregulated and separate. See the benefits of that. And as a way to anchor this within your heart, take a nice full deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth, holding all of these human beings, all creatures, and the planet itself in your heart. And allow all human beings to flow into your heart now as you bring your awareness and focus back to those in this meditation circle. Notice how the contact now with those in this meditation circle might be different. Bringing all human beings with you as we create an environment and a space for these values to flourish. Allow those in this meditation circle to flow into your heart as you bring your awareness back to your surroundings with gratitude, connecting again with your surroundings. Anchoring this vision that you're holding now into this, the acupuncture point on the planet that you are on right now. Let the environments, the surroundings flow into your heart as you bring your awareness back to yourself. And take a moment to simply rejoice in your own practice, in your own achievements, in your life's journey. Despite all that has happened in your life, you're still sitting here holding space in your heart for countless numbers of beings. That's worth rejoicing in. Allow the benefits of this practice to flow into every cell of your body, igniting and awakening every cell. Let the energy of this practice seep into your organs, nurturing your organs, healing your organs. Specifically, if you have areas that are a little challenged, that are weak, or that are not well, allow with ease and with love and with gratitude and with joy the energy that we've all generated together with those on the planet to seep into those areas to rejuvenate, transmute with love. And as a way to close this practice, let's take one final breath in. Deep, deep, deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Okay. Well, we started with our motivation. We had a chance to reflect a little bit. We got to do our practice. Now I'm curious if there are things that have come up for you in the practice, if there are other things you want to share, things that are coming up for you that you would like to in your life that you just would like to share with the group. I am so grateful, Keith, that you're bringing in the jungles of Peru into this. What an honor.
Yeah. Surrounded by parakeets.
Okay. Nice. Yeah. Number of people here committed to relationship with you. Mateo is relationship with nature and the earth. Paulina with her beautiful home and farm that she's created, and as well as others. So I don't know if you have any of the insights or anybody else.
Joe, I'll go.
Sure.
So I just want to share, when you talk about, are you thinking of one person as an adversary or whatever, when we go through that exercise, it's very helpful. But I happen to think about a person who gave us a moment of pure joy. And it has to do with the visit of all the organizations, the meeting with the Pope at Castel Gandolfo. He was part of a delegation of, I believe, American elementary school children who dressed up as the Pope. And the Pope came down to their group and offered one of the little boys to trade Pope hats. And the little boy was interviewed and asked how he felt about that. And he said, I was so surprised by his kindness. It just shocked my brain.
Mm.
And I thought, what a great feeling to, be that made so happy that it shocks your brain. And I think it helps me through, because we're surrounded by so much unhappiness and suffering now. It was a fun 3 minutes.
Nice. Thank you for bringing that in.
Mhm.
Thank you. I love that. Shocked my brain.
If I may, one thing I'd like to share is something I wanted to write to you privately, Joe, but it kept coming up during the meditation, so I'll take advantage of the synchronicity. I don't know if any of you has heard about the Eternal Song, the cycle of movies about indigenous tribes. When you talk about nature and nature connection, the wisdom that comes from nature connection, indigenous tribes know so much, of course. And there are people who have been working on a big project. They are filming 12 movies. The main one is called The Eternal Song, and it's about several tribes around the world talking about ancestral wisdom. And they will slowly release the movies. The first one came out a couple of months ago, and today, just in a few hours, I think it's, 3 hours, more or less, the free premiere of the second movie will take place. It's called Maori. It's about the Maori tribe in New Zealand. I'll put the link here because it's really a project that I think you should all know about. You know, it's so enriching, and it really goes in the same direction of listening deep from our hearts through nature to find a way out of this maze that we're in. And I can perfectly see you, Joe, talking, because there's like 5 days of online talks with several people, and I really see you there. And I'm sure that if you take a look, especially the Eternal Song, of course, is the main the main movie gathering all the tribes. But I'm sure even this one, which is only on the Maori tribe, will be very inspiring. So I hope you would like to check it out and maybe check out the movie. I will be connected with several people here in Barcelona, and it's a project that I've fallen in love with, and I'm happy to share it with you.
Thank you. Grazie. Thank you.
Mm.
I'm definitely going to check it out. Yeah.
I, I think I'll thank you, Matteo. The folks that are doing that actually live in Sebastopol, where my home is. The work that I'm doing down here in Peru is helping facilitate workshops with the indigenous Shipibo, who have a thousands-year-old tradition working with the plants of the Amazon, and the one which many people hear about is ayahuasca, but that's just the tip of the iceberg for their indigenous wisdom. And a couple of things. They are so deeply compassionate and so deeply joyful. And listening to them throughout the day when they're just with themselves, gathered in the place where they stay when they're not doing ceremonies at night, it's just constant laughter. And then at night, this fierce way that they show up in ceremony to guide people away from the blockages that are taking the joy away from their lives. So anyhow, and this is a place where indigenous wisdom is helping heal the world. The participants here, the 24 participants here, come from Albania, Romania, Russia, Poland, France, UK, US, where else? I'm sure in Australia, New Zealand. The human family is represented. So
Thank you. Beautiful work.
Check out your private chat, Keith, if you may. I've written a message to connect, if possible. Weaving threads around the world. I'm actually in Barcelona.
mhm.
Anyone else? Anything on your heart?
I have something on my heart. I was inspired by. I have a friend that every day he sends out a inspirational quote every day, and it's such a gift. And a couple weeks ago, he sent one out that moved me, and it feels appropriate in just bringing it today with talking about what we're talking about and connecting with nature and the environment. And it says, when a flower doesn't bloom, you fix the environment in which it grows, not the flower. And it inspired me on a real personal level to work in my own garden and cleaning it out with some close people, in literally doing that, and metaphorically, like practicing nurturing the environment and remembering that, our inner self doesn't need to be changed or fixed.
Thank you. Beautiful wisdom.
I would also love to share something that's been on my heart and does feel very resonant with the bits of this conversation around the importance of finding resonance and harmony and connection and relationship with nature. I know I'm not the only Emerald podcast listener here. Does anyone else listen to the Emerald? Seeing nods, I'm seeing hands. There's a really beautiful podcast episode that was just issued by the Emerald, I think in the last 2 weeks. It's called On Powers Great and Small, and has been, I don't think I've ever listened to a single podcast so many times. It continues to, feels like it kind of remakes and reshapes my heart a little bit every time I listen. Try to find a link, but it's been something I've been sharing with loved ones and those who seem to be interested in finding ways back to the heart amid so much with seemingly external turmoil and turbulence. And I will post the link here. Mateo's on it. Thank you, Mateo.
Thank you. Thank you, Patty.
I personally would like to thank you all for being here. I'm having a bit of struggle this year personally, and I thank you, Joe, for being there with all your big work that you're doing, that you're connecting through phone, and for you all just to share all this energy so that we can stay connected, and I can stay connected to my heart. And your beautiful quote, Tori, helps me to stay fierce in the steps that I'm taking for the kids. So thank you so much for sharing. And thank you, Joe, for being a friend.
Thank you, S, for bringing that in. That's what we're here for. You're sharing your heart. It's a gift for all of us. Thank you. Tim, you got any notes from the field?
Centering care. I think that is just such a wonderful thought in these times that even amongst close communities what's going on can divide us, and it's so helpful to center back on that and think about solidarity and unity with that as a core. Care as a core, I guess.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Joe, thank you for bringing us together, because this community matters and the energy is so heartening. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you. We're all creating it. We're all creating it. And then it ripples out with the people that we connect with. So okay. As always, I'm trying to think. If you're in Italy, I'm doing a bunch of events in Italy. In Milan and in Florence and stuff like that. And it's all on the website. If you're just curious and know what I'm up to, you can take a look at that. And I'll be sharing more about that. And we're here every second Tuesday of the month. Put it on your calendars. It's great when we have the same people showing up and we build momentum and hold that space. And it's always just a joy and a pleasure for me to see you all, truly. As always, if you want to hear the links, I'm going to put links. I think I'm going to put links in yeah. So if you're not on our mailing list, get on our mailing list. We're coming around Christmas time or holiday time, and where you might want to purchase some gifts. Some of those gifts could be any one of my books in various languages, 2 to be exact, or the Occupy Here t-shirt or mug. Make great gifts. Keith's modeling his right now. I've never seen it in the blue. It looks really nice. And of course, if you'd like to make a donation, feel free. The donation link is there. And stay in touch. And as always, tell people about this. If you can think of 1 or 2 people that you might want to bring for next time, please do. And please feel free to stay in touch. And let's dedicate the energies. We've just done such a beautiful job of generating such good heart-centered energy. I believe that this is an energy that can ripple out and to have beneficial effect, not only for us, but for many. So first of all, let's send some of this energy with birthday wishes to Ophelia, who's got the borealis, the aurora borealis behind her. Or is that just her natural aura? Happy birthday to you. May this energy bring us into a deeper level of our own joy and our own ease with who we are and how we move on this planet. All the endeavors that we're working on, whether that's personal or more community oriented, may they thrive. And may more and more beings based on this practice wake up to committing to providing for others a deeper level of respect and dignity and belonging and freedom and collaboration. Okay. It's great to see you all.
Thank
Great
you.
to be with you.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
and stay in
Thank
touch.
you. Bye-bye. Thank you, Joe.
Bye
Thank you,
bye.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Joe.
Bye.